Today we're going to start talking about slope-intercept form. And a linear equation that is written in this format, y is equal to mx plus b, is said to be written in slope-intercept form. So let's go through some of the vocabulary first before we look at the equation a little bit more. First thing is, what is an intercept? So intercept occurs when your line, whatever the line is, crosses the x-axis or the y-axis. So if it crosses the x-axis, or the point where it crosses the x-axis, it's called the x-intercept. And the point that describes it is A0. What that means, at the x-intercept, the x-coordinate is your intercept when y is equal to 0. So as you can see from the graph, when y is 0, we're right here on this line, the x-intercept is the point where the line crosses over the x-axis. Similarly, the point where the line crosses over the y-axis is called the y-intercept. So for the y-intercept, the y-coordinate is our y-intercept when x is equal to 0. So when x is equal to 0, my y-intercept is going to be the b in the ordered pair. It's going to be x is 0 and y is whatever the b is. Now, why is that important? Well, this is the slope-intercept form. So when we look at our slope-intercept form, here is the letter B right here. So B is my y-intercept. So B is the y-intercept. Now, we have x and we have y. What is m? Well, m represents the slope. So now you understand where slope-intercept form comes from. You have the slope and the y-intercept make up this type of linear equation. All right, let's look at an example of a line written in slope-intercept form. So I have the equation y is equal to 3/2 x plus 2. And when I graph it, it looks like this. Let's identify the pieces now. So B is my y-intercept, which in this case would be 2. So 2 is my y-intercept. Y-intercept, intercept, and my slope is m. And in this case, my slope is 3/2. So 3/2 is my slope. Now the first thing I notice is that this slope is positive. So it is positive. And when I look at my line is rising from left to right, which indicates that it's positive. Now 2 is my y-intercept. So if I come over to my graph, my y-intercept is where my line crosses over the y-axis, and it crosses over at the number 2. So let's put a dot there. Now, as I look at my slope is 3/2. So that means my rise is 3 and my run is 2. So let's just check it. So from 2, I go up 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to run 2. 1, 2. And right there, I have another point on my line. And I can continue this pattern if I start at 2 again, and I go down 1, 2, 3, and I run 2. We'll put a point there. My line crosses at the point -2, -1. And when we connect our dots, we end up with our line. And this is how we can use slope-intercept form to graph as a shortcut to working out points to graph. All right, let's look at one more example. Again, I have an equation written in slope-intercept form. Y is equal to negative 2x plus 1. And if I identify the pieces, the first thing I do is identify my b, my y-intercept is 1. And next I identify my slope. Now my slope in this case is negative 2. And I'm just going to go and put a 1 underneath because I need to have a rise and a run. And in this case my rise is negative 2 or 2 over 1, and the negative sign tells me that I should see a negative slope. So if I look at the resulting graph, I do have negative slope. My slope is falling as my line moves from left to right. So this negative 2 over 1 is my slope. And we're just going to put that it is a negative slope. All right, so let's just check my graph and see if it matches what I have written here. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept. My line crosses over at the number 1 on the y-axis, and it does. So let's put a dot there. And then the slope is rise 2, run 1, and it's negative. So I'm going to rise from my y-intercept, rise up 1, 2, and run 1. And let's put a dot there. And I'll do it again. I'll rise 1, 2, and I'll run 1. And notice how my points that I just drew all end up on my line. And I can continue. I can go in the other direction. I can go down 1, 2, and run 1. And down 1, 2, and run 1. And I can continue this putting points on my graph in order to make a line. And in this case, I put the line there first, but in our next video, we're going to actually draw the line directly from this equation.